Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
All right. What it do, folks? Welcome to a special edition of Hip Hop Now Podcast. This week, I'm going to be your host. I'm going to be facilitating things. I go by the name of Ak, and I'm joined by the executive producer, who this podcast belongs to, Vegas. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also joined by Kil. You know what I mean? And again, I've said this on other, you know what I mean, on other podcasts or other times when I was mentioned on this or featured on this show. I've always mentioned that these are my mentors. So this is a special edition of this show where I get to interview my mentors and talk about their discography, their body of work over the past 14 years. So that's my spiel. What's going on, fellas? What it do?
Don't Kil look like he make the beats? Like he just laid back as he made like 30,000 beats last night. Like, yo, I'm just in the kitchen all the time.
For sure. With the records in the background, it look like I can play some beats right now. Is you ready for that? You know?
Yo, I mean, I got something brand new cooked up in the machine right now. You know what I mean?
So, we knew it.
Something brand new. Just made it last night. But I'm just more amazed at the 14 years, man. Like I'm gonna get into a lot of stuff that we've done later on in the show, but let that resonate, y'all. 14 years of making high quality hip hop. Like that says a lot. You know what I mean? It's not just about the quantity, but it's also the quality. So that's the thing. 14 years of making high quality hip hop, which is kind of crazy to me. You know what I mean? So
for sure. So we get to commemorate, we get to celebrate that 14 years, and you know what I mean? Thank you for allowing me to facilitate the celebration. So we're gonna kick it off, man. Speaking of the 14 years, so we're talking about 2010. All right, 2010. And, for those that are tuned in, I want you to think back 2010. You younger, older, whatever. But let's think about 2010. I'm going to put it into context. So we're talking about a time where technology is caught up with everybody. There's a revolution going on as far as technology. And anybody that has music or the talent and the ability to create music and has the ambition to put it out there, to share it with the masses, technology, the internet, certain websites, applications during 2010 allowed us to be able to do that. So I want to ask you all, Kil, Vegas, during that time when that technological revolution was happening and the websites were starting to pop off, like what was your mindset as far as, making music, and how did that, motivate y'all to say, okay, you know what, let's collaborate and start making music together and putting that music out there together?
Kil, I think you could take that one because I feel like you approached me with the idea, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, bro, I can't remember what kicks I was rocking 2 days ago, but I can't say this. I know in 2009 there was a situation with me and MOP where it was some confusion about a beat, and at like up to about 2009 I kind of just looked at everything as just I only used the internet for email. Like that was it, and like to download music. So I didn't really understand the World Wide Web. There used to be this website, Kevin Nottingham, that was a hip hop website back then. And I had posted the MOP story on that page, and my man was like, yo, this thing about to blow up. And I'm like, ain't nobody gonna see this. And then like 2 days later, like the boy Kevin Nottingham reached out like, yo, we got so much traffic on my page, my server shut down. you know. And then the next day I'm on the phone with Lazy Lays, which is MOP's manager, talking about everything. And after that situation, you know, when Fame came out and put out on websites that I had done the beat for Rude Bastards and everything like that, everybody was like coming at me like, yo, where could we hear more beats? And at that time, like, I wasn't into social media. I'd never been on MySpace, Black Planet, none of that. I was like, yo, social media is whack. Why I'm gonna be talking to niggas I don't know? Like, you know what I mean? So that kind of made me, you know, start Will Make Beats for Food, which is my website. That forced me to get on Twitter. That forced me to get on IG. And Vague is like the big bro when it comes to technology. Cause I'll be like, yo, I don't understand this Twitter shit, bro. Like, what am I doing? Like, I used to, Vague may not remember. I used to be like, yo, I just got an iPad. How I use this thing now? Like, I would always go to Vegas, like, yo, how do I work this or whatever? So, I mean, for me, it was just like, it helped me understand, like, damn, this is really the World Wide Web. Like, there was people from Yugoslavia, like, yo, I got Jack for a beat and all of that stuff. And then when Bandcamp popped up, it was like, yo, like, this is the opportunity for us to be able to put music out. And me and Veg had always talked about, and for people watch who may not know the history, me and Vague both went to Morgan State. He was interning under Strictly Hip Hop. So when I left the show to him. So he had used to do promos for the show. I knew he rhymed and we made beats, but it was like, yo, here's an opportunity where we don't have to be in the same city, you know, because I loved your segue into it, because back then you'd have to be in the same city in order to make music. Whereas now we're in 2010, you don't have to do that anymore. You could send a beat, you know what I mean? So, and then we finally had a platform to be able to put it on. So I think that was a beautiful segue into how this album could even get made, because, you know, it doesn't happen if we're not at that point in technology and everything like that.
For sure. So the album that we're referring to is the first album that Kil and Vegas worked on, the first project, The Gray Area. The Gray Area. And so my next question is, when we're talking about The Gray Area, to me, when I listen to it, I think out of all of the projects, maybe You're Welcome is right there with it. And in my opinion, You're All Welcome, that's like a sequel to The Gray Area. But from you all's perspective, and particularly you, Vegas, to me, that's like some of your most thoughtful work as far as like the lyrics. Not saying that your other work isn't thoughtful as well, but like thoughtful when I'm talking about introspection, you know, thoughtful when it's like this poetic vibe. So can you speak to that as far as the gray area? Like, what was your mindset, or what was your approach to that project?
Well, to speak to some of the things y'all were already talking about, like around 2010, even 2009, this is the blog era. So, I had a blog, hiphoppolitic.com, where, I was writing, I was posting things, I was checking out other blogs. But it's also the mixtape blog era. So to Kil's point and to your point, there was a lot of situations where like the idea of a mixtape kind of changed from a DJ mixing a bunch of records or having exclusives to artists kind of making albums on the side that you could just get from the internet, you know what I'm saying? That had never happened. So a lot of it was inspiring as someone who wasn't rapping as a career, because it was telling me after a while, like, I could just do it on the side, you know what I'm saying? Because I kind of was already. Because prior to me and Kill getting together, I was working on an album with multiple producers, and I was thinking like, okay, maybe eventually I could put it out, but it just didn't come out the way I liked it. And you run out of money and all kinds of stuff like that for a side project. So when Kill was like, we could just do something, it didn't really cross my mind until he said it, as a no brainer, like, well, yeah, because I didn't think anybody was down. I was still used to that era of, if I'm making something, I'm getting a bunch of producers and I'm paying for studios and I'm going here and there and there, kind of the old school way of doing it. But in a lot of ways, Kill doing all the production was old school. And the first joint I rhymed over, first beat, which is actually, I think, featured on this album, um, was I did the intro for Strictly Hip Hop one time because shout out to DJ Kyle LaRue. Uh, he I think he asked me or something like that, and then I got with Kil. I think we went to your crib, Kil, me and
Yeah.
Jay. Shout out to Woods, and I had wrote it, and like for me, it was like a dream come true because I'm used to listening to radios back in the days and hearing like, yo, you hear such and such, that's a song, like that intro. So I'm like, yo, my shit got to be hot, you know what I'm saying? And I think it was, I had a lot of metaphors, and I was kind of that was prime Vegas you was getting, but or Manchild, which was my former name. But when it came to the music and like, yo, what am I gonna do now? Because Kil's gonna give me these beats. I could just go ahead and write. And I had a lot of rhymes just built up from school, from the late 90s, the early 2000s that I was trying to repurpose and use, and some people heard them and no people, in some cases, people had never heard some of it. So the gray area was kind of like, okay, well, when everybody drops their debut album, it's really like their coming out party as far as what they got to say lyrically is what's their introduction. And for me as an MC, which you could see on this gray area album, I got into rapping through poetry because I already was writing poems on a regular basis, just out of love for writing. And once I started, rhyming, obviously the poetry kind of slowed down. But I was like, well, maybe there's a way to show what a lot of my friends already know, which is I rap and sound like I'm talking about some hardcore gangster shit, even though I'm not. I ain't never been to prison. I ain't got no priors. I ain't never sold drugs, nothing. I had to punch a nigga or two, but that's regular where you live. Like, you just defended yourself. You just try to get them off you. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I was trying to like come up with something that was me, and it was like, okay, I love the club, but I love the underground too. So I'm in the middle, So I was trying to think of what's in the middle and blah blah blah, and that's where I thought about the gray area. But a lot of the music, a lot of the lyrics, a lot of poems are things that I had like ever since I started rhyming in like '94. Like a song like Legacy's Hustle, that first verse is like one of the first rhymes I ever wrote. I just repurposed it so it was a little bit more polished for this time. So that was the whole idea about the gray area. It was like, if this is going to be my introduction, let me let people know that I'm not one thing or the other. I can be all these different things as a MC. So
And so with the like you said, poetry and you writing poetry and that influencing the way that you approach your music, I gotta throw it over to Kil now. That vibe or that, that undertone, to me, it definitely went well with the instrumental interludes. So if you can speak to that, Kil, like what was your thought process behind that? Was it, I just want to throw some beats and just have the beats and let people hear the music, or were you thinking about like, okay, I see how Vegas is approaching, the rhymes. I see how he's approaching the beats with his delivery. All right, now I'm a smooth things out to help that transition from song to song with this music or with these beats. Like, what was your thought behind that?
Nah, it wasn't no thought. That's all Vegas, B. Like that ass. Like, I got a whole section written down just where I gotta give props to Vegas, you know what I mean, for what he did for these albums. I'm and it's funny because it's from doing an interview with you all, about your album together, and him just talking about Cube and how, you know, um Death Certificate, is one of his favorite albums. I mean, he's the one who's really built these out to really sound like albums. You know what I mean? Like, I'll send the beat and then he'll send it back, and the Paul Mooney skit is already in there. He put that in there. Like, I didn't do that. Like, that's all vague. You know what I mean? So he's really like the executive producer of all these albums. You know what I mean? From the album titles to the this isn't Gangstar where Guru Vegas is sending me the titles and I'm cooking up the beats. Like that's really all Vague. Like, you know, from the album covers. Even when I was designing the album covers, he would call me like, all right, I want this or do that. You know what I mean? So I got to give all those props to Vague. So I mean, I wish I could take credit, but I did the beats, y'all. So I held my 50% down. But you know, as far as him taking the beats, you know, we'd have to ask him, like, you know, what was it about that beat that you heard, but you wanted maybe not to rhyme over it, but just use it as an interlude? Because again, that's all him.
All right. So what was going on with that? Because it went like again that poetic undertone, and with the interludes, it just meshed together really well. So you know, what was the intention? You know,
I think because when me and Kil are gonna work on a project, Kil will send me like 100 beats, and
That is true. And
this is like
he's not bullshitting, y'all.
no,
I
I'm
literally
not
sent him
lying.
one time like 120 beats.
He did literally, and for me that's like fun because I get to kind of zone in, turn that shit up, you know, whatever I'm vibing with, I kind of put to the side and I just kind of go through because you know I like to organize and stuff like that. But specifically with the gray area, I remember when we was talking, I suggested it on kind of on some Mecca and the Soul Brother stuff, but I think me and him were at a point where we like, yo, people just putting music out on the internet. We need to showcase what you doing too. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe somebody hearing the songs, but in between they're like, damn, what beat is that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then they hit Kill Up for beats. So that was kind of my thinking. And it was the beats that I wanted to use, but maybe I didn't have an idea, or maybe I was like, that's enough songs. So I just felt like it was a good showcase to be like a joint album where yeah, I'm displaying my skill and where I'm from, but Kill is talking through the production. You know what I'm saying? So not only the songs that I'm rhyming over, but the stuff you hear in between. And I like it a lot because it's a whole different vibe, and you kind of feel like you're doing two things at the same time. You listening to Kill's beats, but then you getting to learn about me. So that was kind of the thinking behind it.
yeah, the showcase piece is definitely there. I definitely hear that. So let's get into you're all welcome. And
For a
again, to
sec,
me,
I just say something about the gray area real quick.
sure.
The thing is kind of like what Vague said about like getting prime Vegas. You know, I just wrote when I was taking notes on this this was just a beautiful time for me because this is still 2009, 2010. Like, you know, I'm still taking time with music. You know, I'm like, yo, I can't have the same snare on every song. I gotta switch up my like it was just this beautiful place of it just kind of being like you still open. Like, here's the thing, y'all. Like, in Vegas, I don't even know if I ever told you this. I never listen to albums more than once after I drop them. Just because of my mindset, I'm stuck in the mindset. Because I remember being at Strictly Hip Hop, being like, yo, how do niggas have to listen? They record the music, then they mix the music, then they listen to it, then they got to perform it. So in my mind, me and Vegas was going to be on tour for the next 40 years. You know what I mean? We should be at our Vegas residency by now. So in my mind, I never listened to the album more than once because I never wanted to get tired of it. You know what I mean? So coming back to this, like, dog, I'm listening to the gray area, like, I'm blown away at how good this shit sounds. You know what I mean? 14 years later, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm even looking at the choruses by any means. Like, I had the Fat Albert chorus in there mixed in with the Jay-Z, and like it just took me back to a beautiful place where it was like, damn, I was just taking so much time and putting so much into the music because I was still under the impression, like, yo, we gonna quit our day jobs. Like, you know, I was like this, you know, if like on some mode, if you build it, they will come type thing. Like, if we dope enough, well, we gonna get a deal. So, you know what I mean? It's just a beautiful, it was like this, it was a naive time, but it was a beautiful time too, to just be putting everything that you got out there. So I in no way thought in 2010 we would be here 14 years later still making music together. You know what I mean? So it's like, yo, if this is the only album I get an opportunity to produce. I want this shit to just be crazy. And it's crazy to me because You're All Welcome was always my favorite, but listening to the Gray Area like for the past week, I'm like, I don't know now, man. Like, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that, like, it's a beautiful time, and like this is the growth, you know, and it was just dope to hear Vegas say, like, nah, this is like prime Vegas. This was like Vegas, you know, in his bag. And I kind of felt the same way, like with the beats for that joint.
For sure, for sure. I mean, again, as far as the discography, and you know, Vegas used the term showcase. So this is like the one where, yeah, I definitely get that. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, and I mentioned this on one of the other talks that we had. You know, we y'all got the 24-hour dope strip popping off, so we gonna get into the rest of the albums, you know, because the whole discography we're gonna talk about. But when we talk about showcase, that all right, you know, Vegas rhyming, you know, you making the beats, but then giving the album enough time for the beats to breathe. And then again, like I said, to me, this is the most thoughtful, like I've heard Vegas, like the most thoughtful. And we'll get into vulnerable. We'll get into that later, but the most thoughtful, most introspective. There's another one, you know, in the discography that's right there with it. But the Gray Area, to me, as far as that was firing on all cylinders. Right. So let's get into You're All Welcome. So to me, that this one sounded like, you know, we've done this with the Gray Area. This sounded like full confidence, like you already know what time it is, and you're all welcome for what we just did, because you know we wasn't bluffing. Everybody was on their A game, and then again, it felt like that, you know, that spiritual sequel to the Gray Area. Just all right, we're gonna take it up another level. So what's your thoughts on You're All Welcome? Was that the intention? Yeah, what's your insight on that? I'll throw it to Vegas.
Oh, all right.
The first song we did, especially the first song I wrote, first beat Kil sent me, set the tone for the whole shit, which is Song for You.
Yeah.
Because when he sent that, he was like, before it was like I sent you a bunch of beats. This, he was like, yo, I cooked up this beat and it could be the first single. As soon as I heard it, I was like, okay, I see what we doing here. It was like you got the introduction, and I said you got Prime Vegas, but it's, for me, it's like Illmatic to It Was Written. I'm better on this one. And Song for You was like my way of establishing that. So in that song, there's a lot of me and Kil, we back and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So that was my whole thinking once we made that first song, was like, okay, we kind of like got the first one out. It's cool. We like it, you know, said what we said, but now it's time to establish some things. And I think you think there was a variety on the Gray Area. I feel like Kil with the beats here is way more of a variety of production and styles that you don't get on the first album. So that's kind of how that project got started.
Yeah, for me, I'm always looking for something to motivate me. So I'm the boy who's in the gym in Vegas. If we next to each other, you don't ain't paying me no motherfucking mind, but in my mind, we racing. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's my motivation. And for me, this was like, yo, how did EPMD come with Unfinished Business? Like, how did Nas come with It Was Written? In my mind, we already had the deal. Niggas was already waiting, like, what they gonna do. And it was like, okay. And Song for You, that's easily my favorite Vegas Kil joint right there. Like, that shit. And I said when we did this, I was like, yo, if Pete and CL did this shit, they niggas be jumping out the fucking window right now. Like, dead ass. Like, same rhyme, same beat. It's just, instead of Kil and Vegas, it's Pete and CL, niggas would have been losing their fucking mind. Like, yo, they back, Pete and CL. Like, that's how good and how dope A Song for You is. That's like one of those beats. Like, I mean, all the shit I got going on in that beat is just fucking crazy. And then Vague just comes in and kills the bars. But yeah, Song for You. You're all welcome. And again, Vague coming up with the title for the album, Vague, the ideas for the cover and everything like that. But there's so many things on this one. I know for me, there are a lot of beats that I make that I really love. And I mean, The Social Network was one of my favorite beats I made. You know, so for Vague to get on there and kill that. Friends, that's one of my favorite beats I made. You know what I mean? When I made that beat, I went to Queens and was with my OG, a kid called Roots, and it was like I played that shit like, yeah, nigga, I'm back. You know what I mean? And it was just like, and it's so funny because I forgot who I sampled, but he was like, it was Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and he was like, nigga, they ain't clearing that shit. And it was like, damn. You know, like I finally get a beat that you like. He like, because Roots was already in the game, like, I ain't clearing that shit. But Excuse Me, that's another one of my favorite beats. So the thing that I loved about it was like there's almost like when a director is like doing a movie, like you'll know a director is doing a movie and you're like, your actor is just like hitting on all cylinders, and it's like, damn, like he's hitting every cue right, he's hitting every rhyme right. Like what he did to some of those beats, Split Need Be Fair, that's one of my favorite beats I ever made. You know what I mean? So it was just like, I think for this album, it was the most of my favorite beats that I had made. And it was like Vague was just like killing each one. You know, that's why I think it for years it's always been like, that's my favorite. The All Year with Kel Spence, like that shit was crazy. And Vague is always picking shit that I don't think he would pick. Like each album, my circle joints, like on the Gray Area was Human. I no way in a million years that I think he would pick that beat. Same thing with All Year. There's no way. And I think after Human, he was like, yo, just start sending me all your shit. Because like I got a whole folder of what I call 3000 beats, which is like if I ever got around Andre 3000, like I'd be like, yo, here's some beats I made, but they not your regular, you know what I mean? And most MCs be like, nah, I get that shit, keep, you know, like skip that. But then after Human, Vague was like, well, send me every shit. And it was like, yeah, you know. So.
You know, was Friends is the Strictly Hip Hop intro beat.
That's what it was. Right.
So when I heard that, I was like, nah, I'm gonna switch up on niggas. I'm gonna tell a story about, you know, smoking weed with friends or whatever. And a lot of people like that song a lot. But yeah, like also there's not a lot of features on these albums, y'all. Hope
Right.
y'all keeping score. You know, just me and my friends. That's all.
Yeah, because on the Gray Area it's just Woods and O'Sheen, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And then on
on
this one it's
his,
just Cal Spence and Woods.
right.
Right.
But yeah, like what's funny, and it kind of relates to how you opened up. The Social Network was like the movie had dropped. Social media was kind of in its infancy, but was kind of crazy. You know, the trends, the planking stuff, and all of that. And I was like I was told a long time ago, I'm better when I'm mad. Which I don't want to be mad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who want to be mad? But they're right, because this album had a lot of that, like Haters Anthem, because a lot of shit I was looking at, I didn't like. Social Network was the same thing. So a lot of my lyrics reflect, you know, what the internet and what people were doing on the internet had become, even though it's not about that. Um, but at the end of the day, like to Kill's point, you know, there was just a lot of different beats he was sending me that I was just like, oh, it's crazy. And, you know, the ideas start flowing and creativity. And just one quick thing about Split Need Be Fair. That's one of my best verses ever, because I was completely committed to the idea of flipping all things Be More, right? Especially with The Wire, because that's my favorite show. It's the greatest show of all time. Please do not debate. Okay. Kill know that.
You already know how I feel about The Wire.
Right. But I kind of wanted to like take a episode of The Wire, which is one when they was like going in this crib. I think it was like Snoop and Chris, and it was like it'll circle around the back for when he run out. So I kind of wanted to take that in bar form and kind of create like a soundtrack around it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Woods and who else was on there?
That's
Viral
10.
Audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, viral.
they kind of cleaned up the end, but I kind of wanted to set the tone on some The Wire, Be More kind of shit. And again, I'm not busting guns. I ain't going to get the ratchet to jump somebody's house. So it's my opportunity to make my own version of what I would say in those instances, or let alone like just an action movie kind of style.
So with Split Need to Be Fair and y'all both being fans of The Wire, who came up with the concept?
I want to say that was I'd done a project called Through the Wire where I was mixing my
Mhm.
beats with dialogue from The Wire. And then I did 2 seasons of it. And I think on season 2, I was like, I want to get some MCs on it. So that's why like Split Need Be Fair is like a bonus cut. Because it was either on that, and then I think it was on this like compilation joint I did with called the away team, the away team.
Mhm.
Just because I felt like a lot of the artists I was working with was real dope, but we wasn't getting that love like that. So it's kind of like, how Reggie Miller would love to come to the opponent's, stadium and like shut shit down. Like, you know what I mean? Or how Kobe would love going on the road. Like, like it's kind of like we the away team because nobody's shown us that kind of love like that. So that's why I'd say Viral Audio got on that joint because it was like, but yeah. That's one of my favorite beats. And it's funny because Veg, one of my favorite bars from you when you say sniper on the roof of your home like that beagle. You know what I mean? And I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, Snoopy be on the top of the crib. Like that's what's up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I'm telling you, man, it's like doing this history shit is like, it's just like on some wild shit to me, man. Like, you know what I mean? Because yeah. And I mean, we ain't even get to the third album yet.
Right,
You know
which we about to get into. So that was your all welcome. So let's fast forward to Keep Calm. And
Yeah.
Vegas, you mentioned, as far as features. So we're gonna get into that a little later. That's gonna come back up. But let's talk about Keep Calm, which to me, this is just like, this sounds like Vegas, I'm just here to pop smoke. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here to pop shizzle. You know what I mean? I'm just here to talk my talk. That's what I'm here to do. What was your thought as far as going into Keep Calm? This is the third album. You know what I mean? Y'all have already done 2. This is the third album. And why the title Keep Calm?
I think there was some time in between because me and Kill both was like, saying how much we like You're Welcome. I started thinking like, well, shit, can we do anything better than that? Like,
Right.
and then I started thinking like, well, that's not how things work. Like when you're creative, you go off of inspiration. And I think a lot of what I was given before was more so like me in college kind of getting that off, like that version of myself off between those first 2 albums. And Keep Calm was more like who I am now, you know what I'm saying, in this extended time. And one of the things with Keep Calm was I was watching a lot of battle rap, like, and I was loving the creativity, like the fact that dudes would take a scheme and find all these different ways to keep connecting it back to the theme. Say this, and this, and then go back to the theme. Say that, and go back to the theme. And I admired that a lot. So I started thinking about myself. Obviously in those shoes as a battle rapper, what would I do? um how would I approach it? So songs like Pop Off was that, but more importantly, or to me, that kind of set it for myself was Don't Make Me Laugh, right? Because it was this unconventional style. What is he talking about? Doesn't matter what I'm talking about. And I say a lot of battle rap things in there, like, uh what he said, like with Smack, mentioning Smack from URL and stuff like that, and really talking about my bars and being casual with it because I knew I had some heat later on the album. But I just wanted to make one of those albums that almost feels like cutting room floor. We kind of messing around with different themes and songs and dope ideas, and maybe it doesn't fit on this album, but all of them on one joint. Like Video Music Box just being some shit I just like, what if we referred to the, the video vixens as Video Music Box, like Video Music Box from New York back in the days, and adding a lot of humor. This probably has a lot more humor on most of the tracks than anything. So it was kind of like a free form situation with no real goal in mind, and it was just, we was trying to go with the flow, and Kil was like, "Yo, shit, here's some beats." So that's kind of how that came about.
So then we got to get into, what's wrong. And you said Kil was like, "Yo, here's some beats," and like, "Yo, so what's wrong off of Keep Calm? It's got this 3-beat switch up. That's crazy to me." I'm like, "Yo, like." I remember when I first heard it, I was just like, "Yeah, okay, all right, So let's talk about that now. Y'all that gave me some insight as far as like, okay, Vegas is executive producing and kind of maneuvering. So was this one of those things, like where you took the 3, or Kil, you saw what was going on with the other albums? Like, all right, I'm gonna meet you there. What was going on with what's wrong?
I wish I could tell you why I made 3 beats in a while. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. But that was again one of those joints that I normally wouldn't have sent to Veg. You know what I mean? Because the beat switches, and the thing that I think the thing that, now for knowing Veg so long, and I think one of the dopest things about him is like he's a super creative. Like, Veg isn't just an MC. Like, Veg to me is like a visionary. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times there's no discredit to anybody else I work with. Everybody brings something different to the table. Everybody's a piece of this puzzle called hip hop. I just think with Veg, he's a visionary. So like, that's why I wouldn't have sent him this beat, because when I think of Veg, I think of Brooklyn. When I think of Brooklyn, I think of Big. I think of Boot Camp. I think of, some rough and tough, some rumble tumble shit. You know what I mean? That song is not rumble tumble at all. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I wouldn't send it. But since by this time I'm like, I know Send Vague everything. So when he picked it, I was shocked. And then how he took each beat into a different direction too. You know what I mean? Was crazy too. You know what I mean? I think it was just one of them days where I just like heard 3 samples and it was like, yo, this shit is dope. It would be dope if I could, get all 3 of these to go together like that. You know what I mean? And again, what he did with it was just crazy. Because again, I didn't think nobody could fuck with it like that. So, again, that's like more props to him, because he was able to. I can send Vega beat, and it's kind of like he'll see the vision and do what he does with it. You know what I mean? Where there are times when I'll send a real smooth beat to a nigga and the nigga kills like 5 people. And I'm like, nigga, like, yo, it's like a Bonita Applebum beat. You can't kill nobody over that shit, and I get it. Some MCs just want to rhyme. They like, I don't give a fuck what you give me, Kill. Like, I'm gonna kill it. And it's like, yo, that's dope. But it's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's a time and place to wear your hoodie. It's a time and place to, put on your hard bottoms. You know what I mean? So it is. I think Vague really understands that and does an amazing job with the music doing that.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
One thing about this album that also speaks to this song, I think I was writing more to Kil's beats than retrofitting rhymes I had like I did earlier. Right. I was like making those, like not every song, but I was making those songs based off of what I had and what it would fit with. Whereas with this, Don't Make Me Laugh and What's Wrong, well, especially What's Wrong was more so, it was kind of both, because the lyrics, especially in the very beginning, I wrote that when I was still in school, because I had like a relationship with somebody, and I wasn't pushing anything. I wasn't pushing no commitment. I hadn't had any real commitment. Like, I hadn't had a girlfriend for like more than a month at maybe I'm saying too much, but it's true. Like I wasn't like no pimp. It was just kind of like, hey, why we arguing, man? We like 19, get out of here. And that's what it was all the time. But with this, my longest relationship at that point in time, I felt like there was things being put on me in the relationship, like, oh, you want to get married. I'm like, meet the 1 month nigga, the 1 to 2 week nigga, you saying I want to get married? And then I started thinking, like, why is that a thing that's bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with grooving? What's wrong with love? What's wrong with marriage? What's wrong with two people digging each other? So I kind of played off of that idea because it was in the song. So I kind of like retrofitted that verse, or really kind of remixed it to kind of go. And I love the beat switches because I just wanted it to feel different. And that beat felt so different from everything we had done. And I just wanted people to like feel what was being said. And so when you get to the end and it got the Puerto Rico, like that's why I'm doing a MC thing at a party. I'm just on the mic, like, blah, 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 blah. No verse. Just like, what's wrong with that, huh? You want to switch up that? Like, so I just felt like, why not? We being creative, we're coming up with all these different things. And like we said, if people are checking out our music, we don't want it to be any like fluff, fly by night, boom bap bars, boom bap beats only. It's like, nah, we got a variety of different looks and ideas. So that was kind of my thinking with that song. And I love that record because I just feel like that's me more than like my hardest records, you know what I'm saying, over like some boom bap beats. Like that's like me in a nutshell with all three of those beats. So that's what I.
Yeah, like when I first heard it, it was like, all right, I'm getting like the humor, and then like, I'm getting a little bit of "You're All Welcome" towards the end, like you said, with the MC thing. It's just crazy to me. So y'all definitely gotta check that out. It's definitely
definitely check out What's Wrong.
What's Wrong. You know what I'm saying? On Keep Calm. Check out everything, but that joint is crazy. All right, so let's talk.
Hold up about this. This is my favorite album cover because Vague was pushing me. Like I'd send my album cover, he'd be like, "Nah, that ain't it." So another one, he's like, "Nah, that ain't it." He's like, "Yo, I want to be like in a subway station, and I want you to have the two singles because Video Music Box we dropped as a single and What's Wrong." So if you look at the album cover, those posters in the back are actually the singles or whatever. And I'm like, God damn, nigga, I just got Photoshop. Like, nigga, you trying to and I mean, it took me like weeks to get that shit right. But I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I love it so much was that like Vague kept pushing, like, nah, that ain't it, that ain't it, that ain't it. And it was like that, like it's not just being dope, but just knowing that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So, probably something that take me 5 minutes in Photoshop now probably took me 2 weeks. 8 years ago to do it, but that's definitely my favorite cover too. Like that cover to me is bananas.
Okay, again, the talent and the ambition to share, because you giving that backstory about that, I didn't realize like that was the case. Like, it took me like 2 weeks.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I don't like telling people I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I'm gonna figure this shit out. You know what I mean? We're gonna find a way to get these subway, but it was like, damn, how the hell are we gonna do this? So, and again, I just think that's dope as hell. And again, it goes back to more props on what I think we're doing, because I don't know if there's been an album cover, where the previous or the 12-inch album covers are a part of it like that. You know what I mean? Because if you don't know, then you probably just think, I don't know what that. Well, I guess you can see the Vegas and Kil if you're paying attention. And even with that one, Vague, did you make that one or did I? With when we switched our heads out with Earth, Wind, and Fire or whatever on the cover.
Oh, I forgot about that. Hold on, I forgot. Nah, you did that.
Oh, see, this is Vague pushing me again. He probably sent me some shit. If you look at the album cover, it's like niggas with boom boxes, and he was like, "Yeah, I want you to switch out our heads with their heads." I'm like, Okay, sure. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah, that's no fucking problem. Like, switch out fucking heads, nigga. I just learned how to fucking put layers on the Photoshop, you know?
Here's 100 beats, man. Take these beats.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, but like I said, that's what I love about Vay, because the more he pushes, it's just gonna be that much more doper. You know what I mean? So I mean, again, that's something I haven't seen before. Somebody including previous album covers in a new cover. You know what I mean?
So let's talk Keep Calm. We
We
brought friends. So this is definitely a sequel, right? But you mentioned earlier, you didn't typically, as far as the albums and so far in the discography, the features, have been limited. But with this is like an album dedicated to, all right, features. I'm gonna open up the gates, So give me some insight behind that, like why approach Keep Calm. We brought friends. Why that approach?
Well, Keep Calm didn't have any features. It was just all me. And I like the title. I thought the title was dope. Like, okay, keep calm and make the sequel. We brought friends. And I felt like there was a lot of people, props to Kil, on Twitter and through his podcast, Apartment 5B podcast, that were, that I would check out their music, be like, oh yeah, homie's dope. And he's dope too. And I was just like, what if I just do something that just has everybody I know that rhymes, but can do something, quick enough for my patience, right? To get the music to us, and just kind of putting people together and stuff like that. And I think it came out dope because everybody, who I approached wanted to do something. Obviously, I got the homie Woods on there like usual. Um, but I kind of wanted to take some of that creativity and bring other artists into the fold. And then also I wanted to match myself up with them. Cause I'm a competitor, you know what I'm saying? So if I'm like, yo, I got Yao on this joint, I already know his pedigree. So I gotta come with it, you know what I'm saying? And then I got, again, shout out to DJ Kaz doing mixes on there because he was always down. He done some in the past for me. And just bringing different people together. Like there are solo records on there, like the intro Burn Notice freestyle and Old Brooklyn. But for the most part, I kind of wanted to just bring these people along for like just a cipher kind of session because most of my albums were just me being creative, writing all three verses, right? Like this is the fourth project where I got all these features, whereas that's the norm today. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll talk about how there were no features on the album after that. So you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it was like making a statement, but also celebrating, to Kil's point, almost like another away team, even though that wasn't my thought process, but it's the same philosophy. It was like, bring all these different cats on, people who may know me, may not know this guy or this chick or whatever, or this woman. So that kind of was the idea. And I thought it was fun to do that. So that was the idea behind it.
Yeah, it felt like listening to it. It's almost like hip hop Royal Rumble, even down to the cover. You know what I mean? You got Vegas, pause, Vegas, this big dude on the cover, you know what I mean, looking like he about to start body slamming and just give me the microphone and stuff. Like, so keep calm, we both friends.
Which is crazy because I kind of stretched it by accident and couldn't put it back. And I was like, damn, I look like how Mike Tyson looked on my shirt.
Yo, that's crazy, B.
And my friends thought it was funny, so I just left it. I was like, nah, at some point I actually got that damn big. So it kind of played out. But yeah, that was kind of the thought. Originally it was just a picture, then I kind of put some animation on it. And then I think Kil did the, like, again, I'm hitting Kil up. I'm like, yo, act like it's like a Japanese
Yeah.
release version of it, and just throw our names in English and shit in there. And I thought it looked dope. So it was like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, this joint
Yeah.
is dope. And I mean, some of my favorite beats, the Phenom joint with you and Yao. Like, I love that beat. Like, again, if that's some Alchemist and Rock Marcy over that, like niggas is losing their shit. Like, that's one of them shits. The World Is Mine. That's one of my favorite beats with you, Kel, and Woods on that joint. You know what I mean? And for people listening, please check out the discography. But for all those people who be like, Kil hate Just a Loop, I don't hate Just a Loop, because each album has at least one, if not more, joints that was just a loop. You know what I mean? But it's like a 3-point shot in the NBA game. There ain't nothing wrong with that. There's something wrong with 100 3-point shots in the NBA game. You know what I mean? Right. So again, there's always been, and I mean, that's going back to 2010, before just looping something was the new thing to do. You know what I mean? We was doing that years ago. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I love Keep Calm, We Brought Friends. And again, just like Vegas, a dope title. And the Great American Bash with Drizzlo and Woods just was a dope thing of just getting all these people together with Vern and my man Sight, So again, it was real dope joint. And Old Brooklyn. Not too many people, nobody at that time was talking about gentrification in Brooklyn. Like, you think about all these MCs out of Brooklyn. So again, that's props again to Vague for just being a visionary. Certain things are just, to me, just so obvious to talk about, but MCs don't talk about it. You know what I mean? So for the way Brooklyn used to be, for the way Brooklyn is now, you would think everybody would be saying something about it. And again, I know Skyzoo and Pete did the Retropolitan joint kind of speaking on that. But if I'm not mistaken, it's dropped first, and if not first, around the same time or whatever like that.
Yeah, and that was the first track I heard off of it. And that was what I thought. Like, oh, okay, Vegas going to take it there with the, like you said, with the gentrification, or with that topic, and which I thought was dope and needed, needed for sure. So, yo, if you tuned in, this is Hip Hop Now podcast, and we are navigating through the discography, Kil, Vegas. This is 14 years of music. So we are 4 albums in. All right. We talked about The Gray Area. That was the first album. You're All Welcome. That was the follow-up, like that sequel, that spiritual sequel. All right. Then there was Keep Calm. And then there was a sequel to that, Keep Calm, We Brought Friends. All right. So now we're going to get into the next project, which I thought, and I mentioned earlier when we talk about thoughtful, I thought this was probably the most vulnerable project from Vegas, Willmatic. So I'm assuming that Vegas brought this idea to you, Kil. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what was your first reaction to the concept for this album?
I think the first initial thing was like pressure. Like, damn, it's about your cousin. You know what I mean? Like, any other time we just making music, you know what I mean? Which is cool. But it's like anytime, in my opinion, that, he wanted to do a whole album, saluting his cousin Ill Will, the Queensbridge legend. It's kind of like, damn, like, all right, what we gonna do with this? And then Vega hit me like, yo, Will love to impeach the president, make a beat with impeach the president. And that's like my Achilles heel. Like, I love producers who could do that blindfold shit, just grab a record and make a beat. I'm so much more like, the beat gotta kind of talk to me almost. You know what I mean? But I already know with Vague, once he pushes me past my comfort zone, we come up with dope shit. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of like, it's like, all right, let me try, because it was like, fuck, I can't do that. You know what I mean? I was dead ass just gonna be like, I can't. But I'm like, nah, if that nigga, want to join, then we gotta do a join. So, impeach Vegas, like that was like, let me try to come up with something dope with that. But the first thing was like pressure, like damn, like it's a dope concept, but I just don't want to fuck it up. Like you ain't gonna fuck it up because you know your cousin and you writing the rhyme, so you ain't gonna fuck it up. So it's just like it was pressure, but it was good pressure. You know, it was like, you know, let's do this right. You know what I mean?
So was that the first song to get things going? Was that the first song recorded? So what
I
was
don't think so.
the first song recorded to like really get the project into gear?
The first, so just to double back right before it, I was retired. Like I was like, you know, maybe we brought friends was my way of telling myself, all right, that's it. Like, you know, no more. I can't really commit, and um, especially, you know, like with work was becoming really demanding. So it was just like, well, I mean, I did this and that. There's a couple songs out there. Maybe I'll do that. And the first beat that he sent me a couple of beats, but the one that connected with me, that made me write about my cousin, that made me think, yo, I should make an album dedicated to him, was Esteban Gigante or Gigante, right? Because I was telling people the story that, you know, I was reluctant to share, you know, in real life over time, because of that connection, because of the mystique of Nas, because it was like a domino effect. And I'm talking like mid 90s, where, you know, at first nobody knew. But, you know, I had like Rest in Peace Ill Will on my rhyme book. It was like on my hat, all this stuff. And I was just afraid of what came with that. You know what I'm saying? Like unwanted attention, like people wanting to feel like they were getting closer to Nas because they knew me. And I'm thinking more about it like, I'd rather my cousin be alive. Like, I don't care about none of that stuff. I'm pretty sure Nas feels the same way, or anybody would feel that way. You know what I'm saying? But I
Right.
kind of got it over time, and I figured, like, all right, it is what it is. And throughout me and Kill's projects, like songs like Legacy's Hustles, I tell the story, you know, of that night. I believe it's that one, if not another song. But I kind of been sprinkling it here and there. So Esteban Gigante was like a song to establish up front, you know, who I was, who he was to me, who Nas was to me in their relationship, and me going to Queensbridge like every weekend and hanging out and all of that. And it just kind of set the tone for me to say, well, a lot of people, but like my cousin is famous off of this, right? Like he ain't, all he was here for was Live at the Barbecue. That's it. He didn't hear halftime, obviously, because of how it ends and all of that. Like he was going right before it jumped off with halftime and all of that. So it was kind of like, well, maybe I know I can tell a unique story about him that Nas can't, right? Because it's my family and I'm looking at him differently. And he was somebody I was looking up to. So Esteban Gigante was kind of like getting the wheels turning and getting it going. And as we went on, you know, I was thinking about different aspects of him and saying, oh, well, I could do that kind of song and it'd be different from Esteban Gigante because it'll show you a humorous side to Will. Or what if he was here? Or a record where, you know, where our family is now, you know, versus 1992 when he was murdered. So it was kind of a lot of those different things going through my head. And what really helped Kill was I did the interview with you on your
Mhm.
podcast, Department 5B. And I had never done that
Right.
before. Because I feel like, you know, I won't fuck nobody up in the comment section for being disrespectful. You know, well, you know, I
Right.
can't get to you, but I'm just typing all crazy. Um, but you know, I saw how it performed and I saw how much interest was there in the comments. And I was like, wow, they really are interested in him because of how
Yeah.
Nas kept his name alive. So I really wanted to find a way to give people some of that in a real way from a source you can trust, which is his cousin, Steve.
Right. Right.
Mm.
And then it was dope as hell too, because all the proceeds went to Vegas' aunt, Miss Versi. You know what I mean? So it just
Right.
made it that much doper. You know what I mean? You know, especially putting the two together from 9 Second Childhood Never Curse in front of Miss Versi. It's like, oh shit, that's Veg's aunt. Like that's ill. So,
Yeah.
you know, and then like Veg said, I mean, you hear Ill Will's name so much. If you're a Nas fan, and it's kind of just like, who was Bull? You know what I mean? Like, there is that, you know, like I'm always hearing this, but Nas never really explains who. I mean, you know, it's one of his friends, but that was it. So I think Willmatic is, I don't know any of the numbers. I don't pay attention to any of that shit, but I just know from the year that we put that out, it was like on a lot of people's top 5 albums of the year. You know what I mean? So, you know, that shit meant a lot too, because that meant, you know, we did them right. So,
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Let's talk about the beat to Bench to the Turtle. Because, you know, I know there's a lot of, you know, again, that introspection and, you know, the vulnerable pieces. And then, like you said, even, you know, some of Will's humor. But Bench to the Turtle, that beat, it sounds like Fat Albert, the Fat Albert gang. Like they decided to leave the junkyard and start to go get some money. Now I don't know whether, you know, it's a job, I don't know. But it's like, yo, this junkyard thing ain't working. We gotta go get some bread. It just sounds
Right.
like that I'm on a mission. You know what I mean? That special ed, I'm on a mission. Like, I don't know. Bench to the Turtle, man. What was going on with that? And Kil, you could talk about, I guess, the making of it, and in Vegas, what was like your reaction when you first heard it?
I mean, the making of it, I mean, it's one of those things where like when I'm digging, if I hear a dope loop, you know, I'll loop it up. Which is again for the millionth time, I have no problem with just looping a record because sometimes the loop works. It doesn't need anything, and I felt like that beat, it just worked. Like to me, it wasn't any need to like. I think if y'all remember that Swiss Beats album, and it was a Nas joint on there called Echo that DJ Scratch did, and it was just a loop, and it was crazy. And one day, I think on IG or Twitter, Scratch was like, "Yeah, it had drums too," and he played it with the drums, and it was like, "Nah, we ain't need the drums," you know. So every song doesn't need drums, you know. 88 Keys said once, like, it's something in just letting the loop live. You know what I mean? If it doesn't need it, and I think I feel like I'm a good assessment of, I mean, because every 90% of the beats I have, I'm programming drums or looping up something under it. So I kind of am a good guess as like, nah, this is good. So it was probably a beat, you know, that I just sent Vague, and I didn't even think he would like it. But again, that's the beauty of working with Vague, that you send him something that you think he won't like, then he sends you back this completed song. It's like, damn, like that shit's dope as hell. You know what I mean? So that's what it was from the beat standpoint.
In Vegas, when you heard it, man, what's happening, man? Why Bench to the Turtle?
Well, one, I'm an old soul, and I love guitar licks from back in the 70s, like just old whatever sounds like that. It sounds dirty. Uh, I just like the beat a lot, but I was like, well, you know, how can I use this for this album? And I thought about like, okay, well, there is one side of Will that, you know, most people obviously assume, some people know, which is the hood, the block version. You know what I'm saying? And what I wanted to do was like make a song that represented him being outside on the Ave. And a lot of what like what's in my description is real. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a turtle. It ain't there no more, kids. It's been gone. Shit didn't work half the time when we was there. It's supposed to be like a water sprinkler where water comes out the turtle's back. I don't remember that ever happening. I'm talking about the 80s. So maybe in the 70s, they'd be like, yeah, that shit worked. Like in the 80s, no. Uh, but it was there. And if you look at the album cover, that's an old picture of Will touching the turtle that I'm talking about. And there were benches in the area that you've seen on like Nas with Illmatic and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily saying, oh, that was the spot where, you know, they were selling crack. But that's why I started started it off because all this was real. Where he was like collecting bucks for my B-day, crack in my jeans. Hey, y'all know the struggle woes, so I'm gonna play my role. Second bench, hood trench. Hear my favorite song out the radio. Lunch spot. Come with me to Wong's. 5 wings, French fries, salt and pepper ketchup. Flexing in my ACGs. Y'all better catch up. Like ACGs was the joints he had on his feet in the picture with Nas and Wiz. That one picture that everybody sees. Um, Collecting bucks for his B-day. Like before he was killed, he was collecting money for a birthday party he was gonna have in the park. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is in Wong's, right? I heard Wong's when Nature said it, but we know what happened after that. But it's all these different elements of Queensbridge in my memory, and some of it also relating to what Nas said, but almost like same story from a different angle kind of situation. So whatever he said about Nas, like breaking the locks in the candy factory, like I use that, you know what I'm saying, as a part of explaining, Ill Will being a part of some of these things that they were doing at that time. So when I heard the beat, it just fit like, okay, we're gonna do Thug Ill Will, you know what I'm saying? Rikers Island Ill Will on the block, the street dude, the people who who a lot of people knew. And I think it kind of came off dope, and I think it might have been the second song I wrote too. So it kind of set the tone for me picking a variety of angles with his personality. So
Yeah, and like you said, the variety of um, to who he is and how you saw it. You did this, I guess this motif where it sounds like a tape is being played back, like with the interludes or the skits that was going in between the songs. Can you speak to that a little bit?
yeah, so what? And I was texting Kill like crazy every time I had an idea. I was like, "Yo, I'm going to tell the story from like one interview broken up that leads into each song, but under the song, I'm playing the beat to the song just with a different frequency on it. So it feels like it because you can feel the bass. And if you listen close enough, you're like, damn, that is the beat to Bench to the Turtle. So when
See,
it
and this is what I mean about visionary. You know what I mean? This is what I mean about,
right.
I send Vega beat, I get a whole, and to me, this is the difference between somebody just rhyming over a beat and somebody making the beats theirs. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I'm not, and again, that's no discredit to anybody. I tell this story all the time, or this analogy. It's like, I'm not good. If you give me an empty room, that's like overwhelming to me. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I gonna? I don't know nothing about no rug or what to put on the wall. I'm the type of nigga, I go to IKEA, I see the room, I like this room, just give me everything in the fucking room. There's another person who's able to see a room and be like, oh, yo, I'm gonna put that there, move that there. So it's no knock to anybody else. It's just we all have different gifts. And I think one of Vegas's gifts as an MC is to see the bigger picture, how to take a beat and make it into a whole song. So how to take this empty white room and then you come back a week later and the walls are painted, it got art on the wall, it got a rug on the floor, it got a throw, you know what I mean? Like that's like what his gift is to the table. You know what I mean? Because yeah, that shit was ill.
Well, the interview idea was actually yours, Kill.
Oh
Because I
fuck, I
remember
didn't even
you was
remember.
like, somebody should interview me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And ask me the questions and I answer them. But I kept feeling like, damn, well, yeah, that would be dope. But I felt like I heard that before in hip hop. So I was like, well, maybe I could do a good enough acting job where you just get my answers and they're real questions. Shit, you might have gave me some questions. Just
Okay.
so I wasn't writing the questions. And I kind of riffed and made sure my answers mirrored like whatever song was coming up next, and whatever I wanted people to have in their brains as a new song hit. Just so you felt by the end like, okay, I think I know who Ill Will was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what I wanted people to know, he's no different from you. You know, he's not this mythical figure because, like on the song "Will Do," which is all true, and it's not my stories, not all of them, but "Will Do" is a lot of his little brother's stories also of weird niggas like yo peace, you know, in his DM, yo peace to your cut to your brother, blah blah blah. He's just looking like what these niggas want. Like what do you want? You know, I'm a regular
Right.
nigga on Instagram. Like leave me alone. Uh, but I felt like you know playing on that humor and the idea that people would think, and even some people I'm cool with would ask like weird questions about him, you know, saying like, yo, what were you and Nas doing? And I'm like, nigga, we made 17 albums. Nigga wasn't doing shit. We was kids. We was watching kung fu flicks and breakdancing, and it wasn't no ciphers and shit like that. Like, so I kind of just wanted to bring the reality to the whole project. So
Yeah.
For sure. As Willmatic, um, again, I think one of the most vulnerable projects in the discography, but creative as well. Definitely a salute to that brother. So y'all definitely gotta check that out. Another gem within the discography. So the last album, Bed-Stuy Vintage, the album. So let's talk about that. I have an idea of what the mission is for that. To me, it just sounds like, you know, grown man beats and bars. Not to say that that wasn't on everything else, but this definitely felt like that, like grown man beats and bars. But I want to ask you all, and I'll throw it over to Kil. You know, what was the mission for Bed-Stuy Vintage, the album?
I felt like it was like here's the thing with Vague. Like I think Vague stops rhyming like once every year. You know what I mean? He be like, yo, I'm done. You know what I mean? And then I'll get the bat signal like, yo, send me some beats. And I'm like, fucking here's 100 beats. You know what I mean? But I felt like, you know, I think one of the things I always give Vague's prop for is coming up with these concepts, you know, from Video Music Box. You know, like you hear the title, but not really understanding what it's really about. You know what I mean? Or what's wrong. So I kind of felt like with this, it was just like beats and bars. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, you know, I post beats on I mean on Twitter all the time, and Vega hit me like, yo, I got something for that. I'm like, all right, here, you know what I mean? Or, you know, give me that. Or, you know, so I felt like this album was also dope too, because again, I don't know. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me, but taking like 3 songs from Bed-Stuy Vintage Volume 1, 3 more songs from Bed-Stuy Vintage Volume 2, to then giving you 4 more songs that you didn't hear on the album, you know, for 10 songs. Like I don't think that's been done before. You know what I mean? Like I said, I could be wrong, but I don't like being able to do things like that. Cause I want to say, Vague, didn't we say like something like, yo, we was just gonna do a 12-inch or something? Like we was gonna do like an old school, just
yeah,
an A and B side or something like that.
yeah,
Because that's what it was. You were saying like you don't want to commit to a whole album. So it's like, all right, let's just, you know, when you got the feeling, like we just do an old school A and B side, you know, just take it old school. But again, I don't think I've seen anybody do it where it's like, yo, this is part 1 of the EP, this is part 2, and then you're gonna get all 4 new songs on the album, which you know makes the complete album. So
Okay. So, what was your reaction, Vegas, to do it for BK too? When you heard that beat, what was your reaction?
well, again, this was a situation where Kill had sent me like mad beats, and I'm just going through them looking for, you know, I really wanted a variety for this album, so I'm just going through them, and um, the crazy part is it's not one beat; it's actually an intro to another beat tacked on
right.
to another beat. And it was similar to what we did with Do It for BK Part One, where I had 2 songs with Woods I was working on, and this is on the You're Welcome album. And Woods was just like he was procrastinating. I was like, yeah, we already got like part of the song. We just need to finish. So I just put it together, put that Allen Iverson, practice joint in the middle, with some effects, just really as a transition, and it just came out so dope. It sounded like we did it all on purpose. So with this, Do It for Brooklyn 2, Kil had a beat that was like a reggae joint. And at first, and people who don't know, like, the Caribbean culture is heavy in Brooklyn. So I was like, yo, this could be dope, but I don't know if I can rhyme over that beat. But then the beat that we rhyme over, I'm like, damn, this sounds like some old Big Daddy Kane, like, old school. And then when I thought about the intro to the reggae beat, I'm like, that's the type of shit the DJ would play before he hit that other track. So if I just put them together, it just gives you this old school park jam. They playing reggae, dance hall, hip hop, cypher breakout. That's why I was like rhyming the way I was rhyming, because I kind of wanted to be like, transported back in the days. Plus, I also want to let people know I could spell Big Daddy Kane's, name. So I was like, I'm gonna say that shit. I'm gonna find a way to say it. But that was kind of the thought, like, let's just do it on some old school hip hop shit and rhyme over this. And it came out pretty dope, So I really liked it when I heard it. So
Kil, what was your reaction to the finished product, man?
I mean, I loved it, man. I mean, I love all our shits, man. I mean, I think again, just looking at it like when you think about, you always hear people say, like, yo, the first album, you've been writing your first album your whole life. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, boom, you could say that's the gray area, but to follow that up with You're All Welcome, you know what I mean? To follow that up with Keep Calm, to follow that up with Keep Calm, We Brought Friends, to follow that with Will Mac, to follow that, like at a certain point, I mean, Cash really got to start looking at Vegas like one of the dopest. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying that because that's my man and, we make music together, but you really don't find MCs. I mean, again, 14 years. You know what I mean? And that's just the joints we've done together. You go to his Bandcamp page, there's the joints y'all got together, his joints he's got with other producers, DJ Rec One. So, when you just look at his output of music, and again, high quality, hip hop, I think it's just, it's easy to work with Veg. Like Veg is like nothing. Like it's just easy. You know what I mean? Because you gonna throw him the alley oop and you thinking this nigga just gonna dunk it, and this nigga do some old Jive Morant type shit. To behind the back dunk, like this nigga just showing off again. You know what I mean? Like we on TNT tonight, so he really got to show off. So I mean, again, I give a lot of props to Vague for making these albums, not just be bodies of music, but really be like an album. You know what I mean? So
real quick, one thing about this album in particular, for one, the first thing you hear for the first time is Kil's voice. You know what I'm saying? And I was on this podcast one time and he was talking about, Twitter and dudes saying, you old and why should we listen to you? And when he was saying it, I was like, damn, Kil like freestyling these bars and this shit sounds good. It's not planned. He's just going off a straight emotion. And I like the fact that, you hear JR after you say what you got to say. And I was like, that's a perfect like theme for what this album is. Like you said, Kil, this is like grown man, we've been here before, don't make me get out of my chair and come over there kind of music. And the first song I worked on that before I made the song you hear, Thankful, which I did second, was the Hoodie Vegas joint. And I'm gonna just spit a couple of bars if y'all don't mind, but I meant what I was saying because I wanted to, I think, like, put it this way, for every album we worked on, and we've kind of talked about it, every first song I worked on was to set the tone for what the album was going to be. And that's what I was trying to do. So when the whole Hoodie Vegas thing came up and I heard that beat, which was crazy, the first thing I thought was what the lyrics is. It's like, walk up and establish this, smelling like cannabis, back to the future, like an anubis. Atomic bomb, nigga won't even flinch. Bar for bar, and I punch in the clinch. Troublesome like two apocalypse, don't miss. Cause my grip tighter than Arthur's fist. The risk or deadly, kill on the tracks, or the medley, or melodies. Hoodie Vegas to check out my felonies. Like I really wanted to like plant the flag, like, yo, this is what we do. Like, this is not for fun. This is not for play. You could put us next to Black Thought and Premier. You could put us next to any of them. We gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to establish that off the bat. And I think we did that, but you know, Kil had that intro that just kind of pushed it forward where I was like, oh yeah, this just going to be the theme at this point. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about "Can't Forget" though on the album. That's one of my favorites. Um, when I think of Soul Sample, I think of that. I think of that chorus and in that track. You know, just uplifting, but at the same time, you know, hard hitting. You know, unadulterated hip hop, but it's still got like that soul to it, that uplifting soul to it. So Kil, man, speak to that one, man. And then Vegas, again, when you got the track and you know, what was your mindset of okay, I know what I'm gonna do with this. But Kil, speak to the creation of the track.
It's funny that you bring up that track because that's a track I actually do remember making when my mother-in-law passed away. I made that beat for her. You know what I
mm,
mean? So it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, my mother-in-law was like super in the church, you know what I mean? And it was like at the time my sister, T's little sister had hit me with like a voicemail from mommy. And I had actually had that like over the track. And it was like T couldn't even, I don't even know if she can to this day, like listen to her mom's voice yet. You know what I mean? And I don't think Bird wanted to hear it like that either. So, but I love the beat. So it's like, and it was kind of like, you know, you keep forgetting, but you can't forget. You know what I mean? So I remember making the track for that. And then kind of like, you know, once T didn't want to hear it and Bird didn't want to hear it, it was like, yo, but this beat is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So it was like, let me send this over to Veg and see if he could fuck with it. But yeah, it was dope that he picked it because it's you know, one of those beats. It's kind of like, and you know, Ak, you in this film game, it's kind of like, you know, as a director, you send out your scripts and you're hoping an actor will pick it and you know will want to fuck with it. And you never know, you know what I mean? So it was just dope, you know, for Vague to get that track and rock with it. It's dope that you like it because it's definitely one of our favorites to me.
Mm. So Vegas, when you got it, man, and press play, man, like your thoughts as far as okay, what you're gonna do with it, you know, provide that insight.
yeah, it was one of those beats that you know I put in the, you know, I think I could mess with that folder. And you know, as I was like getting songs done and kind of hearing the album based off the songs I had recorded, that was one that I didn't know what to do with it. I just know I liked it a lot. And sometimes you got to just say, well, maybe I don't have the lyrics for it. Maybe I don't have the song for it. Maybe I just like it and maybe it's better for somebody else because that's happened a million times. I've heard beats that I know Kil sent me, you know, on other people's projects and I'm like, yeah, it sounds better with that person
Mm.
doing it because I just didn't have the idea. So what Can't Forget, again, I like to be thoughtful. I like to talk about like where I'm from or where we're all from in a lot of ways. Humble beginnings, and I felt like that hook um, really like drove it home, and it I kind of melded my rhymes around it. But in a lot of ways, I wanted to capture, you know, like I didn't know the story behind the beat, but I kind of wanted to capture what I was feeling from it, and it was something soulful, it was something real. So I just wrote some real lyrics, and it really gave me like a reasonable doubt vibe. You know, like I like Jay-Z. Like in the beginning, I didn't, right? I felt like his choice in beats was like, man, the type of beats that's being made for Big and blah blah blah. But I love Politics as Usual, and I love it because it's just so unconventional for hip hop, and I love how he talking and he flowing. So I kind of wanted to do that. So it's more like a Reasonable Doubt type record. But what's crazy is a lot of people tell me that's their favorite song. which,
Wow.
I think they're probably feeling what Kil was feeling without communicating it in this track. And I just wanted to make beats that spoke to whatever he was feeling, but in my way. So I mean, it was one of those things where it wasn't that deep going in, but in hindsight, looking back at it, it's like, oh, we was really doing something there. Like, we get
Yeah.
excited over the other joints because boom bap and like, all of that, but this is something that's a little bit deeper than that, and it starts with the production. So
Wow. So yo, I want to thank y'all for allowing me to, facilitate this this trip through the discography of Kil, Vegas, 6 albums, 14 years. The
14 years.
last album we were just talking about, Bed-Stuy Vintage, the album, but everything that we was talking about, all of these projects are available tonight. So you can get those or wherever you stream music, correct? Wherever you stream
Yep.
music, you could get those, pick those up, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So with today being Christmas Eve, tonight at midnight, our entire discography will be available on all digital streaming platforms. That's Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube Music, Amazon, um, everywhere. So it's an opportunity if you never took the trip over to vegasworldinc.bandcamp.com. Now it's everywhere. So if you use any of those platforms on a regular basis, you can look them up. You can listen to them. You can check out some of the album covers we talked about. And you have a greater insight, in my opinion, to what we were thinking about making these albums, and where we were in our lives at those times, which I think will play well when you're listening to the projects. And shit, you might hear my voice change also, because I was listening to the Gray Area and I was like, "Damn, wasn't I like in my 20s or something? Why do I sound why do I sound that young?" But I think you forgot one thing, man, because I did the homework. So I want to read my homework about our favorites.
Okay, let's get into it, man. As far as my questioning, there was a lot that was covered, right? But if you can, I'd like you to, as far as the beats that Kil sent over, what was your favorite or one that surprised you? Like,
Mm.
whoa, from Kil. And then on the other hand, with Kil, what's one of the tracks that you all did, but you was just shocked as far as what Vegas came back with. As far as what that cook up was, you didn't know it was going to be like that. So I'm gonna let you go first, Vegas, and then we'll come back over to Kil.
The beat that surprised me was we mentioned it earlier, Human from the Gray Area,
Mm.
because I didn't know. Like, that's why I was like, yo, send me whatever you have, because apparently you got all kinds of shit in your arsenal. And like he said, it wasn't just him at that time, especially earlier, because of where I was from, because of my voice, the way I came across. A lot of people would send me like boom bap beats, and this was a beat that I had never rhymed over before, but I could and I wanted to. So Only Human was a way for me to get in on some of that double time rapping, tell a story, have a little humor with it, and also just doing something different than most of the work I've done in the past. So that one surprised me, but the other one that was more like a runner up to that was Don't Make Me Laugh. I loved it when I first heard it. I was like, yo, I don't even know, like, I don't even know if this is a rap beat. Like, this should just sound good.
Mm.
Kind of just, I was almost going to use it for an intro to talk over. But then I was just like, why don't you just write and rhyme like I'm talking. So a lot of the cadence in my voice is like me talking, and even the hook, like, you know, Brooklyn Bazaar, like that was a I guess in the West Coast they would call it like a swap meet. It was like, yo, you can go in there and get karate flicks, get your hair cut, get sneakers for your kids, you know what I'm saying, get a chain,
Right.
and leave. Uh, so it was more so about, like, again, the variety of content I could provide. And I just kind of wanted to tie that in as a theme. But yeah, when I heard the beat, I was like, damn, this is dope. How can I rhyme over it? And I just made it work. So
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, so Kil, you know, one of your favorites, or one of those that you know, that shocked you. You did not know Vegas was going to come back like that.
Probably, I mean, I love history off of You're All Welcome. You know, after the intro, I felt like that's like the perfect, again, in my mind, I'm like being a fan. Like I make music as a fan of music. So it's like when history comes in, it's like, this is how, like, I know as a fan, if I was like, damn, this is the first thing I'm hearing after the gray area, like this shit is crazy. And then the way Vegas sets it off, will you say something like something in the wire? Like you say some
two,
shit that like just the
two
way you
homes,
come in.
yeah, 2 homes, 2 kids, and no price. Just a glass of champagne and a verse on the wire.
Yeah,
I
like,
had
and
two
then
homes at that time, so I wasn't bullshitting. Like,
so it's like, yo, when that comes in and the beat drops, like I feel like he just killed that. But the all year, I think anytime I send Vague any of my 3,000 beats, and it's like, yo, how the fuck are you rhyming over this? Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, these are beats I'm keeping in the stash for if I ever come across. But again, this is why I think as people, we can't, you know, typecast people. You know what I mean? And be like, yo, this nigga from Brooklyn. So, like you said, I'm only gonna send this nigga boom back. You know what I mean? It's like we typecasting a nigga, like, you know. But you know, if this nigga's from Atlanta and had a fucking blonde wig on, oh, then I would play you know, these joints like that. You know what I mean? So I think I mean, for the first album, it was Human. Second album, it was the All Year beat. There's I forgot the name of the other joint that always threw me, but I mean, then I got some of my favorite Vague verses. I got you know, come back from higher learning, niggas thought I was locked up. You know, he says messed up your knee hoop and niggas thought I was shot up. Like just the way that joint from If This World Was Mine came in was just crazy. And yeah, we did it before Kendrick with Luther. So yeah, we already had that joint done.
we already
Yeah.
had.
But yeah, like just the way Vague is very dope at what I always say is a lost cause in hip hop is just how you set off your rhymes. Like, you know what I mean? Like really being, and I think now, especially at the time, because I feel like now niggas make music like, you know, niggas just be like, what's the name of this song? I don't fucking know. Yellow Jacket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and the track listing be in any order, you know, like I feel like that's one of those things that's kind of crazy with hip hop. Like, I heard this, it was like a Boldy James Currency Alchemist song, and I'm like, I don't even know who fucking album this on. I don't even know what the song is. Is there even a chorus on this shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know where to start looking for it. But I feel like that's kind of like Vegas, like making sure like that these songs are good, the choruses are dope, the album is mapped out well, it's track listed, he's adding interludes, he's adding, you know, little music drops here and there. And I think it goes back to like, you know, the whole death certificate thing and just how to, you know, really make. I posted that on my Twitter and people were like, and I didn't even ask what's your favorite song. I just said what's better, this or America's Most Wanted. And my man chimed in and was like, yo, it's dope you did that because I can't pick a favorite song off Death Certificate because it's like one movie. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Vague has helped to do with these albums. It's kind of like we could pick songs, but it's really like, what album do you like the most? Because I don't feel like a song that's on Keep Calm could be on You're All Welcome, or, you know, a song from The Gray Area could be on Best Style Vintage. Like it just fits where it was. You know, it's almost like it's a moment in time.
I definitely agree. Each project has a sound. It sounds intentional. It sounds you know, like there's purpose. I agree with that. But it's still, but that's the crazy thing about it. It's still Kil in Vegas though. It's just a different mode.
Right.
It's
Right.
like a different gear. You know what I mean? But you're right. Like I wouldn't swap out. It sounds like this goes with this. I definitely agree with that. Yo, man. Well, listen. Those of you that are tuned in right now, again, your discography will be available or is available tonight. You know, you can get that where you stream music. All 6 of the projects, all 6 of the albums. All right, check those out. There's other projects that Vegas has as well, but we just navigated through six, 14 years of music. So that's a lot for you to go ahead and start to stream and start to enjoy. Thank you for listening. It was a pleasure to be able to facilitate this. Thank you, fellas, for allowing me to do this. And until next time, my name is Ak. This is Hip Hop Now Podcast, and I'm signing off for Kil and Vegas. Peace.
All right. Look.